This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi. Afreilchen Zois Chanukah. You know, they say that, what's the Pshat in Zois Chanukah? There's a famous vart in the name of Shmuel Birnbaum that, you know, the rest of Chanukah, people have all kinds of distractions and disturbances, different family gatherings, and it's very hard to really focus on the main purpose of the Yontif of Chanukah, and that is the Hodesh L'Halal, to praise Hashem, to thank Hashem, to learn Torah. So it comes the last day of Chanukah. So on a regular day, sometimes you come home from work, so you go learn at night. But on Chanukah, sometimes it's very difficult because you have to light the candles. It takes a half hour, an hour out of the night, and you have different parties. And finally, comes the last day of Chanukah. You don't have to light the Menorah. You don't have to go to any parties. Zois Chanukah! This is Chanukah! You could come and sit and learn. You have no distractions, no disturbances. Zois Chanukah, this is Chanukah. Okay, so if you made it here today, you have a tremendous chus. That means maybe you once did a mitzvah in your life and Hashem had rachamim on you, that He wanted you to be able to hear what we're about to learn. Or maybe your great-grandmother once shed bitter tears that you should have this chus one time in your life to hear what we're about to learn this morning. Zois Chanukah, Tavshin Ayin Vav. We know the Chassam Sofer wrote many Svarim. Chassam Sofer, of course, wrote Shas Teshuvos. Chassam Sofer, he wrote Chidushim on Shas. He wrote many editions on Chumash. Chassam Sofer ala Torah, Volume 1, Madura Shnia, Madura Tlisai, Madura Riviyai, four editions. Chassam Sofer wrote Chassam Sofer HaChadash, Oyros Chassam Sofer, Droshes Chassam Sofer, Chidushim Ba'agados Chassam Sofer. I have a small little pamphlet that I got a number of years ago from my grandfather's collection. A small pamphlet called Minhagei Chassam Sofer. It's a recording of the various practices of Chassam Sofer. And in Minhagei Chassam Sofer, it's brought down one of the most astounding things I ever heard. Says Chassam Sofer, B'Chanukah, his here, L'hisasek, B'limud, Torah Hakdosha, Yosemri B'Shar HaYamim. Chassam Sofer warned that as important as it is to learn Torah always, the most important time is Chanukah. V'hikbid ma'oid al zeh. He was very makbid on this. Shemevalim yomim ha'elu b'havle yischok. People waste their time playing all these card games and other waste of time. Ki amar sha'atzas ha'yitzahara hu la'afriya sa'amei avedus Hashem v'talmud Torah b'mei Chanukah. As much effort and energy as a Yitzhahara puts in the rest of the year, he works overtime right during the holiday season. Says Chassam Sofer, the Yitzhahara tries his hardest to be mavatel Torah on Chanukah. Why? Asher tiknu lanu chazal lahodos ulahala. Chanukah was enacted to thank Hashem, to praise Hashem. V'halimud hu inyan gadol b'zman hazeh. Learning Torah is very important. Why? You ready for this? Ki az nimsaru soidos ha-Torah l'Moshe Rabbeinu olav hashalom. The secrets of the Torah were taught to Moshe Rabbeinu on Chanukah. The secrets of the Torah were taught to Moshe Rabbeinu on Chanukah. Where did Chassam Sofer get this from? We know Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Har Sinai 3 times. He went up the first time, Vav Sivan. He came down Erev Shivas of Tammuz. Chanukah does not fall out then. He went up a second time. He went up Yod Ches Tammuz. He came down Erev Rosh Chodesh Elul. There's no Chanukah then. And he went up Rosh Chodesh Elul and he came down Yom Kippur. There's no Chanukah then either. And that's when Hashem taught the Torah to Moshe Rabbeinu. Mehechi Teisa, where did Chassam Sofer get this from? That the Kabbalah, that the secrets of the Torah were given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Chanukah. Where did Chassam Sofer get this from? Now, who are we to try to even delve into where the Chassam Sofer, the secrets of the Chassam Sofer? But Torah v'lo moedanu tzarach. Chassam Sofer says it, so let's try our best to try to understand what is the makar, what is the source that the secrets of the Torah were given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Chanukah. Okay, we come to another very important Gemara. The Gemara is commenting on the, we spoke this out last time, we spoke out this Gemara. The Gemara in Masechta Yuma, Daf Chav Tes, is going on the parak in Tehillim, parak Chav Beis in Tehillim, Lam Natseach ala Yeles HaShachar Mizmar LaDavid. This is a parak about the miracle of Purim, and it compares Esther to the morning star. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Asi, Lama Nimshala Esther l'Shachar. Why is Esther compared to the morning star? Loimar lach, to teach you, just like the morning is the end of the night, so too Esther, Purim was the last miracle. The last miracle was Purim. Frek the Gemara of Ha'ika Chanukah. Chanukah came after Purim. Answers the Gemara, Nitna lichtov ka amrinan. The last miracle that you were allowed to write down was Purim, but Chanukah cannot be written down. You're not allowed to write down the miracle of Chanukah. So far this Yom Tov we were zoicha to say over 6 reasons why Chanukah was not allowed to be recorded in Tanakh. We said over last Friday 4 reasons from the Bina Elitim. Last Monday we said over from Rav Shlomo Kluger. But Ein Beis HaMedrash B'li Chidush. What is the meaning of the Gemara? Why are we not allowed to write down the miracle of Chanukah? Why can Chanukah not be recorded in Tanakh? What's the reason? Gemara says, Lo nitna lich lechtav. You cannot record the miracle of Chanukah. And not only, Rabbi Say, is Chanukah not recorded in the Tanakh, it's barely mentioned in the Mishnah. We mentioned already. How many times is Chanukah mentioned in the Mishnah? 6 times. You have a Mishnah in Bikurim, you have a Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah, a Mishnah in Tainis, Mishnah Megillah, Ma'ir Katan, Baba Kama, and in not one Mishnah in the whole Shas are any of the halachos of Chanukah mentioned. All the times Chanukah are mentioned are Agav Orcha. You could be Mevi Bikurim, and you could read the Parsha Bikurim ad Chanukah. If you light Ner Chanukah, and a camel comes and knocks it over, you're putter from damages. Could you give me a Mishnah, please, where to put the Menorah? Can you give me a Mishnah what time to light the Menorah? Can you give me a Mishnah how to say Hallel on Chanukah? No! There's not one halacha important to Chanukah mentioned in the Mishnah. So you say, but at least, there's a whole big Masechta of Chanukah, right? I mean, Purim has a Masechta of 30 blat, so you'd expect 240 blat for Chanukah. No, there's no Masechta Chanukah either. So you say probably the Zayar talks about Chanukah a lot. Anybody know how many times Chanukah is mentioned in the Zayar? 1 time in the whole Zayar, Chanukah. What happened? It's 8 days. You want to give it some attention? Maybe a Navi? Maybe at least in the Treyasar, one of the no, not even the Treyasar. A parak of Mishnayos, not a parak of Mishnayos. No, all you have is like 2.5 blat Gemara about Mem Alik, and no Masechta, the Zayar. Only 1 time Agav Orcha mentions Chanukah. Why? Also, the Rabbeinu Bechaye in his classic work Kara Kemach says the word Chanukah means inauguration. What is Chanukah an inauguration of? Look at number 4. Ha'inyan hazeh yesh lehisboinein b'shmeinas hayamim ha'ila nikram Chanukah. We need to delve, we need to think into the 8 days that are called Chanukah. A language of Chanoich Lenar, Kilashain, Chanukahs Habayis. Says the Kara Kemach, what's Chanukah? Lefi shehu roimez l'shemen hamashiach. Chanukah is a remez to the oil of Mashiach. Sha'anu asidin lechanech beis hamikdash. Somehow, by lighting the menorah, you're inaugurating in Yemais HaMashiach. How's that? What in the world does the menorah have to do with inaugurating in Yemais HaMashiach? In other words, Rabbeinu Bechai is saying the word Chanukah, which means inauguration, is inaugurating in the Yemais HaMashiach. What's an inauguration of? The end of days. How's that? We learned this morning, and we'll throw out a new question. I never asked this question in this year before. So, as far as I know, the only time, the whole year, that there's a Kriyas HaTorah, where you don't stop at the end of the parsha, and you go into the next parsha, is this morning. Zois Chanukah. Right? Uvevai Moshe Eloyam Moyeh L'daber Itay Itay Vayidaber Hashem Moshe Leimah. What happened? What happened? Why didn't we stop at the end of Nasai? Don't you have to stop at the end of a parsha? You never do this. If you ever noticed, we never do this. If there are 2 parshas, then you can say the parsha this week is Vayakel Pekudah. The parsha this week is but it's the only time where we're not establishing a double parsha, and nevertheless we have no problem violating the normal confines of parshas. Normally we say Bereshis, Noach, Lech. No, Zois Chanukah, we're not bothered, we're not worried. We go right through the stop sign. Right? What's the pshat? Al Zois. On Zois Chanukah, okay, but you got to stop at the stop sign. At least call the Yisrael up. No. Right through the stop sign. We know that Moshe Rabbeinu, He gave us the Torah. Torah Tzivulanu Moshe. And Hashem taught Moshe Rabbeinu the Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu was a very good Talmud. And Moshe Rabbeinu had a very good Rabbi. There's one thing Moshe couldn't understand. He didn't chap the Menorah. He could not understand the Menorah. That's why we lay in this morning, V'zeh maseh ha-menorah. V'zeh indicates that Hashem had to be moira be'etzba. Hashem had to show Moshe Rabbeinu with his finger exactly like this. Rashi says in number 5, Shehereu HaKadosh Baruch Hu be'etzba. Hashem showed Moshe with his finger. Lefisha neskasha ba. Moshe was troubled by it. Lekach nemar v'zeh. In other words, Hashem said, don't worry, you're having a hard time understanding it? Let me show you. It looks like this. What was Moshe's difficulty with the Menorah? The Orion he chapped. He got the Orion. With the kruvim, with the wings. The paroiches he understood. The shulchan he understood. The mizbeach he understood. Kol HaTorah kula he understood. And all of a sudden it comes to the Menorah. Moshe cannot understand the Menorah. What's so hard with the Menorah? Just get the Art Scroll CD-ROM virtual tour of the Mishkan, and you'll understand exactly how to make the Menorah. What's so hard? I mean, every first grader makes like 3 menorahs every Chanukah with their Lego. What's so difficult with the Menorah? The Menorah is harder than the Orion. It's more difficult than the Orion. You look on your sheet. I have a nice picture over here. In the back of every elementary school chumash, they now print the chumash with tzuras ha-menorah. So here it is. The menorah has 22 goblets, gaviyim, 11 knobs, 9 prachim, 7 branches, and there you go. You're good to go. Call it a day. That's the menorah. What is so difficult with the menorah that Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem had to say, Zeh, this is what it looks like. Exactly like this. Why? What's so difficult? When we light the menorah has a very unusual halacha. Let's say, for example, tzitzis. Let's say you're cold. Are you allowed to wear a pair of tzitzis only because you're cold? No. Yeah, why not? You're allowed to. It doesn't have kedusha. It's not tefillin. Tefillin is tashmishe kedusha. Tzitzis is tashmishe mitzvah. As long as you're not being mavazeh the mitzvah, you could be neneh. There's even a machloikis. Let's say your glasses are a little foggy. Could you use the talis to clean your glasses? Depends whether it's a bizay mitzvah or not a bizay. If it's not a bizay mitzvah, maybe yeah. If it is a bizay mitzvah, then you can't do it. Yeah, when it comes to Ner Chanukah, there's an additional halacha. Asur lehishtamesh la'oira, you can't be neneh. What do you mean? I want to learn. I want to learn Gemara. I want to learn Kabbalah. I'm going to learn Kisvei Arizal. You can't do it. Asur lehishtamesh la'oira. You can't be neneh from the ner. Why not? I could be neneh from my tzitzis. I could be neneh from the shofar. Let's say I want to go to a shiur, and I can't hear, so I stick the shofar in my ear to hear. Mutter l'chachila. It's not a bizaya, chayra. So why can't I be neneh from the ner Chanukah? Why is it asur lehishtamesh la'oira? Another question. You know, on my calendar, the way I like to celebrate Yom Tovim, I like to do it at the beginning of the month or the middle of the month. That's the way I like to do it. Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the month. Sukkot is the middle of the month. Pesach is the middle of the month. Shavuos. All of a sudden, Chanukah, Chaf Hey. What's Chaf Hey? So I don't make Yom Tovim Chaf Hey. Since when is that's not the way the Jewish calendar works. Jewish calendar is Tesvav, or the beginning of the month. There's Rosh Chodesh, middle of the month. All of a sudden we have Chaf Hey in the month. What's Chaf Hey? We don't do anything else the whole year, Chaf Hey. Now, all of a sudden, Chanukah, Chaf Hey. How many Neiros do we have on Chanukah? So we know 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, plus 6, plus 7, plus 8, 36. You have 36 Neiros of Chanukah. What is the significance of the 36 Neiros of Chanukah? Well, in the beginning of the Chumash, beginning of Brias Ha'olam, you have a pasuk, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Ar, Vayehi Ar. And everybody knows the word Ar is the 25th word in the Chumash. It's a remez to Chanukah. Okay, that everybody knows. Vayomer Elokim Yehi Ar, it should say Vayehi Chen. By every day of creation, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Rakia, Vayehi Chen. Vayomer Elokim Tad Sheharetz Desha, Vayihi Chen. Vayomer Elokim Yikava Amayim L'Makom Echad, Vayihi Chen. Vayomer Elokim Yihima Oyros, Vayihi Chen. Vayomer Elokim Yishutzu Nefesh Chaya, Vayihi Chen. Vayomer Yonasa Adam, Vayihi Chen. It was. When God says something, it happens. And somehow, when Hashem said Yehi Ar, it wasn't. It doesn't say Vayihi Chen. It was just Vayihi Ar. That seems to indicate that the world, something went haywire. It was Shina. There was a Shinoi. Things didn't happen the way Hashem wanted them to happen. So Rashi on the spot says we need Agadah here. We need Divrei Agadah here. Hashem saw that the light was not worthy to be used by the wicked of the world, and Hashem put it away. Vayomer Elokim Yehi Ar. Hashem said, "Let there be light." But you know what? Hashem said, "We can't have light. We can't have the wicked enjoy the special light." So there was light, but there wasn't the light. The primordial light had to be stored away in the garage somewhere. That's why Vayar Elokim es ha'ar ki tov, Vayavdel Elokim. God put it away. There's something called the primordial light. This is what we call the Arhaganas, the light that Hashem hid away. This primordial light, how long did it last, and how long was it shining before Hashem put it away? Says Yerushalmi in Brachos, Reb Levi b'shem Reb Bezira, Shloishim v'sheish Shais Shimsha Oisa Ha'ira Shenivres b'Yom HaRishon. That great light, the Arhaganos, the primordial light, you know how long it served the world for? 36 hours. What are they? 12 hours Friday, 12 hours Shabbos, 12 hours Shabbos. In other words, 12 hours Friday and 24 hours on Shabbos. 36 hours. So what do you mean? But the Yerushalmi says that it came out on the first day. When did Hashem say here? On the first day. So what do you mean 36 hours? The answer is, no, we don't care about anybody or anything other than human beings. What do you mean animal rights? Sefer Ikrim says, as soon as you start promoting rights of anything other than human beings, it brings to bloodshed, it brings to Ritzicha. Sefer Ikrim says, Cain killed Hevel. Why? Because Hevel brought a carbon. Cain said, "You're killing animals! You're Chayav Misa," and Cain killed Hevel. As soon as you promote animal rights, you promote murder and you promote bloodshed. Because as soon as you raise animals up to the level of human beings, you demote human beings to the level of animal. So we don't care that the light served during week 1. All we care about is until man was around. Man was created on Friday. So the light served man on Friday and 24 hours on Shabbos. The original light served the world 36 hours. Okay, got it? The aragonos served the world 36 hours.
It was around the whole week until Motzei Shabbos.
It sounds like, at least according to Yerushalmi. Okay, so look at number 7. Comes the Roikeach, Rabbi Elazar Migarmaiza, who was a master of the secrets of the Torah and the precise number of times certain words appear in the Chumash. He had a Messiah all the way going back to the Tanoim. Roikeach says, by the way, he also had Gilui Eliyahu. Roikeach says, why do we light 36 Neros on Chanukah? Because when Hashem inaugurated the world, how long did the inauguration lights last? You know, if you have a new building or a new stadium, what do? How do you inaugurate something? Light it up. That's how you inaugurate. You have a new building, a new stadium. Turn on the lights. You got to turn on the lights. So when Hashem created the world, how did He inaugurate the world? He turned on the lights. The inaugural lights of the world lasted for 36 hours. That is why we have 36 Neros of Chanukah. Somehow the 36 Neros of Chanukah correspond to the 36 hours that the Arhaganas lasted for. Now listen to this. Vayar Elokim es ha'ar ki Toiv. You look in your Sefer Torah, next time you open up a Sefer Torah, on the word Toiv, you look on the Tes, on the letter Tes of Toiv, you have 4 tagim, 4 crowns. 4 times Tes, 36. 36 Neros of Chanukah. So ask the Bnei Yissaschar, okay, very nice, what are you going to do with the Vav and the Beis? The answer is Vav and Beis is 8. 8 days of Chanukah. Yeah, but it should be a Ches, not a Vav and a Beis. No. There are 2 parts of Chanukah. There are 6 days and there are 2 days. The 2 days are day 1 and day 8 have more Kedusha than the rest of Chanukah. Day 1 is when you make Shechianu. Day 8, Zois Chanukah, includes in it the Kedusha of the entire Chanukah. That's why the Arizal says when you light the Neros on day 1, you're mechavin for the first of Yud Gimel Midas Harachmim, day 2 the second Midah, day 3 the third Midah, day 8 from Midah 8 to Midah 13, because day 8 has the most kedusha of the entire Chanukah. So that's why the word Toiv, you have 4 tagim on the test. 4 times test is what? 36. Vav are the 6 middle days of Chanukah. Beis are the 2 bookends of Chanukah. The Maril brings down an ancient custom that it used to be people did not do malacha on the first day of Chanukah and on the last day of Chanukah. The minhag was not to do malacha on the first day of Chanukah and the last day of Chanukah. So somehow we're learning that by lighting the Ner Chanukah, it has some connection to the Arhaganas. So you're saying, me, when I light my menorah, little me, when I light my menorah, somehow I'm connected to the Arhaganas. What do I got to do with the Arhagana? What does it mean that we say Hashem was goynez the Ar? Hashem put it away. So this is a very important yesod, and this applies by many things in Chazal and in Shas. Very often you see the term that something was ganos, something was put away. What does that mean it was put away? So Rav Hutner writes in the Pachad Yitzchak on Chanukah that whenever you see the word ganos does not mean it's like hidden somewhere and you'll never find it again, nobody knows where it is. That's not what ganos means. Ganos means is that it was changed in a way that the way it operates now is fundamentally different than the way it operated before. In other words, ganos doesn't mean it's hidden forever in some chest and the key is thrown away into the 7 seas. Ganos means that the way it operated before was more conspicuous than the way it operates now. For example, we know the Gemara says the Orion was ganos. The Orion is ganos. We know exactly where the Orion is. The Orion, the Rambam says, Shlomo HaMelech made underground matmoinios akalkalois, underground labyrinths, and he buried the Orion under the kasha Kedoshim. Right? We even find in the Yerushalmi in Shkolim, it says one time a kohen noticed that one of the floorboards of the Mishkan was out of position, and he realized the Orion was there. So I mean it's ganos. The answer is the Orion used to be conspicuous, and now it's not as conspicuous. That's all ganos means. So now the question is, Rabbi Isai, if the Rebbeinu Shalom put away this light, and if you look back in number 11, the Gemara in Chagiga says on Daf Yud Beis, Amar Rav Elazar, Or Shabarach Kadosh Baruch B'Yom Rishon, Adam Tzoyfe Abai Me'Soif Ha'olam V'Yad Tzoyf. Right? This original light you could see from one end of the world to the other end of the world. But then when Hashem saw the Dar HaMabel and the Dar HaFlaga, Hashem hid away the light. He hid it for the tzaddikim la'asalavai. Rabbi said the $1 million question today is, where did he put the light? Where did he hide it? Flatbush, Borough Park. Where did he put the light? Where is the Arhaganas? Where did he hide it? Well, we have a Medrash Tanchuma in Parshas Nayach. Or, on the 4th line, or Gadol. The Medrash Tanchuma is talking about that in order to learn Torah Shabbat Peh, you have to some extent, deprive yourself, on some level, of the enjoyments of this world. If somebody is indulging in money, enjoyment, and sleep, it's very hard to be immersed in Torah Shabbat Peh. Says the Medrash Tanchuma on the 4th line, Or Shanivra B'Yom Harishayin, the light that Hashem created on the first day, Shegenozai HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God put it away, La'amele Torah Shabbat Peh, for those who delve into the Torah Shabbat Peh, B'Yom U'Valayla, day and night. So here, the Medrash Tanchuma is saying that the Ar Haganos was hidden away for who? For Amele Torah, for those who are immersed in Torah. But where did Hashem put it? Where's the light? Says the Eitz Yosef on the Medrash, Kasav Hamagid Tzedek, number 15. The Magid Tzedek writes, Shamati Oimrim, I heard they said, Shebiurai Sheginazai B'Toirasai Hakdosha. You know where the aragonos is? It's in the Torah. Sheba ha'adam mabit misayfa olam v'yad sayfe. The Gemara in Chagiga says that with the Arhaganas, you could see from one end of the world to the other end of the world. And we know that through the Torah, a person is able to see from one end of the world to the other end of the world. So it must be Zemen Defon that where the Rebbe Shalom put the Arhaganas, he hid it in the Torah. That's the Eitz Yosef is Rav Yosef Zundel on one of the commentaries on the Medrash, and he says he heard from the Maggid Tzedek of Vilna, he was the Maggid in Vilna, that the Arhaganas was put in the Torah. Does anybody else say this? Says Reb Chaim Volozhiner in the Nefesh HaChaim, in a footnote at the end of Shar Aleph in number 16, Umiz Vayar Bazoyhar Shehaor Nignaz V'Oiraisa. You know where the light is? It's in the Torah. Reb Chaim Volozhiner wrote a Hakdama to the Graz commentary to Mishnah. Says Reb Chaim Volozhiner, Ki Nignaz Kol Ha'or Ba'Torah Hachasuma Asher B'Yadeinu. The aragonos, here it is. Aragonos, inside. Now the question is, could you get it out? Says Chaim Volozhiner, Sham Bilulu V'Ganzu Kol HaMa'oros Lehisgalos L'Tzadikim Hazoichim B'Chol Dar V'Dar Lehanas Me'aram. Any tzaddik who is able to plummet the depth of Torah, then the aragonos emanates from the pages into the neshama. By the way, the Zohar HaKadosh says in Parshas Truma, in Ois Taf Tezvav, that Rabbi Yehuda Omer, El Mole Iskanez Mikal V'Chayil, had Hashem not hid the light, the world could not stand for 1 second. It was hidden, it was planted, but it could make fruits. But there is no day, there's no day the Arhaganas does not come out to the world. Any place that they learn Torah at night, a strand emanates from the Arhaganos, and it is drawn to those who learn it. In other words, if you learn Torah at night, so then a little thread of Arhaganos comes out of the Torah, and it goes on to a person, it goes on to you. Why does the Zohar say only those who learn Torah at night? What does he have against the Kala Agar de Pirka? And only if you learn Torah at night, not if you learn Torah during the day. By the way, the Baal Shem Tov also writes that, this is in the Sefer Dega Machne, number 20, that the Arhaganas was hidden in the Torah. And that's why the tzaddikim in every generation are able to see Meisoif ha'olam b'yad seifai. But frek the Baal Shem Tov, well, wait a second, there are a lot of tzaddikim. They can see. You tell them, no, what's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know, I don't even know what I'm going to have for lunch, they say. So why is it? I thought the Arhaganos is in the Torah. So it says Baal Shem Tov Avada, the entire Arhaganos is in the Torah. And through the Arhaganos you could see from one end of the world to the other end of the world. By the way, this answers a very simple question, right? The famous Gemara Nida. The Gemara says that when the child is in his mother's womb, there's a candle lit on his head. Behilai neiroi alei roishi, v'sve'umabit nisoifa olam v'yad soifai, u'ba malach u'malamdoi kol ha'terakula, kivan shenoilad, ba malach v'sitrai al-piv, and he forgets the Torah. The Gemara forgot something. Why doesn't the Gemara say, and the malach came and put out the light? What, he's still walking around with a candle on his head? I have yet to read a story of a kid that was born with a candle on their head. Who puts out the candle? The answer is, what's the candle? How is the baby able to see Meisaifa Olam Yad Saifai? Through the Torah. The Arhaganas is in the Torah. Once the baby forgets the Torah, the candle's gone. The Gemara doesn't have to say that he puts out the candle. There's no candle on top of the baby's head. The way the baby's able to see Meisaifa Olam Yad Saifai is if he knows Kol HaTorah Kula, then avada you could see Meisaifa Olam Yad Saifai. If you don't know any Torah, you can't see what's in front of your nose. So it says about Shem Tov, yes, tzaddikim, they learn Torah and they have access to the Arhaganas, but he says, you could have the brightest torch in the world, but if the person is blind, the torch is not going to help him. So Baal Shem Tov gave this very mysterious answer. But what he means is that, yeah, it's good people learn Torah, but you also need the right eyes. And you have to be zoichet to have the right einayim as well. It's not enough to have the right or, you also have to have the right light. Okay. So now what we're learning is, Rabbi Sai, where did the Rebbe Shalom put the Arhaganos? In the Torah. But the question is, which Torah? Where? Erevin, 3 stars. Shabbos, volume 2. Which one? Where is the Arhaganas? Parshas Bamidbar, Parshas Noach. Where? Show me. Show me where the Arhaganas is. So, Rabbi say there's a very amazing medrash, number 21. The medrash in Bereshis Rabbah, Parshas Vayetze. It says like this. Parshat Tzadi Aleph, it says, when Rav Tarfon was giving Shiur, and someone would ask a good question, you know what Rav Tarfon would say? He wouldn't say, Gevaldige kasha. He would say, Kaftor v'ferach. Buttons and nas. I used to have a Rabbi, I think in 10th grade. He said, you had a good kasha? Kaftor v'ferach. What's the meaning of the words of Rav Tarfon? Says the Netziv, in number 23 in Parashat Tetzaveh, he says, V'siach Rabban Shal Yisrael. We need to learn from the word choice, the word usage of our great Tanoim. He says like this. We have in the Mishkan 2 great Kalim. You have the Orion, Habris, and you have the Menorah. They both represent Torah. After all, the Orion had in it, Orion Ha'edos, right? It had the Luchos. But the Menorah also represents Torah. After all, the Gemara says in Shabbos, "V'chila oira hu tzarech." Did Hashem need the light? Ela edus hu Yisrael she'ashchina shayra b'Yisrael. This gave testimony that Hashem was with us. Why? Because the Menorah represented the covenant of Torah. Haroitze lahachkim. You want to be smart? Yadrim. You go to the south, right? V'simanach Menorah shebedarim. Haroitze lahashir. If you want to be wealthy, Yatzpin. You face the north, right? The Gemara says when you're davening Shemana Esrei, if you want money, you face the north. If you want Torah, you face the south. Somebody once says, why can't you do both? Face north, then face back. Hey, it doesn't work. You got to pick. Yatzpin or Yadrim. You want Chachma, you go to the south. Why do you think Jews go to Miami? Haroitze lahadrim. Haroitze lahachkim. Yadrim. You want to be smart? You go to the south. V'simanach Menorah shebedarim. I pay him. He's good on him. Okay. V'simanach Menorah shebedarim. So we have the Orion. The Orion is the Torah, and Menorah is also Torah. What's the difference between the Orion and the Menorah? The answer is, the Netziv says, the Orion is Torah shebechsav. The Orion housed the Luchos, Torah shebechsav. The Menorah is Torah shebal peh. The koyach of Torah shebal peh came to this world through the medium of the Menorah. The Geviyim, the Kaftorim, the Prachim, the Konim was the vehicle with which Torah shebal peh came down to this world. The Menorah represents Torah shebal peh. That is why when somebody asks a good kasha, says Rav Tarfon, not badim. He didn't say kruvim. He said kaftar v'ferach. You know where such a kasha comes from? You know where the source of such a kasha is? The kaftorim and the prachim and the mer. Rabbi said, I want to tell you over something mamish so magnificent. The Malbim in his Sefer Eretz Chemda, he quotes the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi wants to know, why is it that when Hashem said Vayomer Elokim Yehi Ar, why doesn't it say Vayehi Chen? It should say Vayehi Ar. Answers the Yerushalmi, because when Hashem made the Ar, it was not Cain. It didn't come to fruition, because Hashem had to put it away. Hashem had to be going as the Ar. So it doesn't say Vayehi Chen, it says Vayehi Ar. It says the Malbim. But when Aaron HaKohen lit the Menorah, and the Menorah represents Torah shebal peh, the Torah, you know where the Arhaganas is? It's not in the pages of your Chumash. It's on the pages of your Gemara. The Arhaganas was hidden in the Torah shebal peh. What's the koyach of Torah shebal peh? Where does it come from? The Menorah. When Aaron lit the Menorah, what did he reveal to the world? Arhaganas. When Hashem said, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Ar, it couldn't be Cain. It was missing the Cain. So you know what Aaron did? He fixed the Cain. Vayas Cain Aaron, we read this morning. When Aaron lit the Menorah, look at number 24. Vayas Cain Aaron. Aaron made the Cain. He fixed the Cain. Hashem was Bitsar. Hashem said, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Ar, and it wasn't Vayehi Chen, it was Vayehi Ar. Because the aragonos was put away. But when Aaron lit the Menorah, he brought out the aragonos, he fixed the Cain, the Lashon of Asiyah, the Asisa Siparnea, Vayas Cain Aaron. Aaron fixed the Cain. maybe we could also suggest that's why the laning today ends off. Kain asas ha-menorah. Moshe Rabbeinu also fixed the Kain when he made the menorah. He also was mashlim the bria. Says the Malbim in a footnote on his commentary on Chumash, mamish, unbelievable. One of the most questioned words of all of Chazal on the words Vayas Kain Aroin. What does Rashi say? Lehagid shivchai shel Aroin sheloi shinoi. Oh, what a great guy Aaron is. Why? He didn't deviate from what God said. What would you think he would do? Hashem said, light the menorah, and Aaron would have gone bowling? Aaron, wow, you're tremendous. You listen to Hashem. Lahagid, says the Malbim, it's deeper than that. You know what Aaron didn't change? He didn't change when Hashem said, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. Aaron made it that it was Vayehi Chen. That the Brias Ha'olam didn't have to change from the way Hashem wanted it. Hashem wanted there to be some dimension of Arhaganas. It could not be fulfilled because of the Rishayim. Because of the Rishayim, Hashem had to be Meshaneh. And Melamed Zechusah Shivcha Shel Aron Sheloi Shina. He did not have to change from Brias Ha'olam. When Aaron lit the menorah, you know what happened? Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or Vayehi Chen. Melamed Shivcha Shel Aron Sheloi Shina. So the menorah has in it the Arhaganas. Why? What about? Why isn't there Arhaganas in the Orion? Because the Orion is Torah Shebachsav. The menorah is Torah Shebal Peh. The Arhaganas is hidden in Torah Shebal Peh. When Aaron illuminated the menorah, he was Magala the Arhaganas. Says the Bnei Yissaschar, perhaps this is the deeper meaning of the month of Kislev is made up of two words: Case, hidden, Lamed Vav. The Lamed Vav hours, the 36 hours that the Arhaganos were put away, Case, it's hidden in this month. Because when we light the menorah, we bring out to the world the Arhaganos, the primordial light, says the Bnei Yissaschar. Says the Bnei Yissaschar, I'm bringing you now from three sources that when we light the menorah, we're bringing out to the world from that original light of creation. First, says Bnei Yissaschar, I quoted to you from the words of the Roy Keach. Look at number 29 on the 7th and 8th lines. V'hincha roya yedidi, please see my dear friend. Divrei ir v'kadish, the words of the Holy One, meaning the Roy Keach. Shechol devarav divrei kabbalah mipi Eliyahu. Everything the Roy Keach teaches us is from Eliyahu HaNavi. So if the Roy Keach tells us that the Lamed Vav Neiros of Chanukah correspond to the Arhaganos, you take him at face value. This is from Eliyahu HaNavi. And you know who else he quotes? He quotes the Maral. He says, Maral learned from the Sefer HaYetzirah. So now we know that the Arhaganos is where? In the Torah Shebal Peh.
What did Maral say?
I didn't put it on the sheet, but he quotes the Maral saying the same thing, that the menorah is also bringing out to the world from the Arhaganos. Okay. So where is the Arhaganos? Torah Shebal Peh. Where in the Torah Shebal Peh? So says the Bnei Yissaschar, let me bring to you something from another great tzaddik, someone a little closer to our own times, another individual who was a Baal Ruach HaKodesh, Rav Pinchas Karatzer. Pinchas Karatzer was one of the original disciples of the Talmidei Baal Shem. He was one of the ancestors of Rameir Shapiro. Says Rav Pinchas Karatzer, quoted by the Bnei Yissaschar, number 33. Says Rav Pinchas Karatzer, the Rebbeinu Shalom put the Arhaganos in the Torah Shebal Peh. Now we have an ancient tradition. How many Masechtos are there that have on it Talmud Bavli? We have a tradition. The Shas Tshuvas Mari Asad, Shas Tshuvas Yehuda Yala, number 32, brings this tradition. The Ber Heitev and Arachaim Siman Taf Reish Mem Hey brings this tradition. Ashrei Ha'am Shekacha Loi. Fortunate is the nation that has Loi, Lamed Vav. We have a tradition, there are 36 Masechtos. And there's the whole tshuva. The first tshuva in Shas Tshuvas Mari Asad. What do you mean? What about Tamid? What about Midos? Do you count this? Do you count that? But he establishes that there's a given Mesorah, there are 36 Masechtos, and now we just have to work out what they are. By the way, the Ber Heitev also brings down a remez on the word lulavs. Lamed Vav Lev. When you shake your lulav, you're supposed to be thinking that you want to put the 36 Masechtos on your heart. Lu Lamed Vav Lev. So again, another makar that there are 36 Masechtos.
So it says 63, which is the opposite of 36.
What?
The actual 63.
Then maybe on Mishnayos. A Mishnah. But just of Talmud Bavli, I'm talking about on Zram, we don't have Talmud Bavli. On Taras?
63 is 36, yeah.
Okay, maybe there's something to that also.
There's always something to that. The 63 Masechtas.
Okay. So, it says the Bnei Yisachar name of Pinchas Karatzer. If the Rebbeinu Shalom hid the Arhaganas in Tar Sheba'al Peh, it says of Pinchas Karatzer, we're in the Tar Sheba'al Peh, specifically in the Lamed Vav Mesechtos of Shas. The Arhaganas was hidden in Shas. So when you light the menorah, when Aaron lit the menorah, he was Vayas Kain Aaron, he rectified the Kain, he brought out the Arhaganos, and this is the inyan of Ner Chanukah to bring out the Arhaganas. I want to say a big chiddush. There's a famous kasha that everybody asks, why is there no Masechta on Chanukah? Right? Famous kasha. You have Masechta for everything, why is there no Masechta on Chanukah? The answer is you can't limit Chanukah to one Masechta. You're going to confine Chanukah to one Masechta? Chanukah is much more than one Masechta. Chanukah is all 36 Masechtas. Chanukah is the entirety of Torah Sheba'al Peh. Chanukah were merames all of Torah Sheba'al Peh. All Lamed Vav Masechtas. When you light Neiros Chanukah, you're illuminating the entire Torah. So what are you going to do? You're going to squeeze Chanukah into one? You can't do that. You can't confine it. Chanukah is an overarching concept that overrides you. What are you going to do? You're going to make, okay, this is Masechta Chanukah. You can't put Chanukah into one Masechta. Chanukah reflects and represents all of Torah Sheba'al Peh. Okay, just a thought. Says the Bnei Yisachar, the end of number 35.
Who wrote the Bnei Yisachar?
Tzvi Elimelech Midinov. He's the original progenitor of Munkach. Tzvi Elimelech Midinov, Shapira. Okay. It happened to be my wife's side comes from Bnei Yisachar. And his side, both of us. That's why we're together, me and him. Okay, so says Bnei Yisachar. The Gemara says in Yuma Daf Chavtes, Chanukah lo nitna lekaseh. You can't write down the miracle of Chanukah in Tanakh. You know why? Because what's the tachlis of Chanukah? You're trying to bring out the original light, the Arhaganas. You're trying to bring out that light and go back to the time before the light was put into the Torah. That means the purpose of Chanukah is, remember when Hashem created that original light before He stored it away and put it in here? We're trying to bring it out. So now what do you want to do? You want to put Chanukah back in? The whole purpose of Chanukah is to bring it out and remind us of a time that the aragonos was dominant in the world before it was hidden in the Torah. So Chanukah cannot be nitna l'chtayv. What are you going to do? You're going to put it. The whole purpose of Chanukah is to take it out and bring it out the way it was before it was nitna l'chtayv in the Torah. So therefore Chanukah specifically cannot be nitna l'chtayv. That is why Chanukah is not mentioned in Tanakh. That is why there's no Masechta on Chanukah. That is even why, says Bnei Yisachar, the Zohar HaKadosh only mentions Chanukah one time in passing. He says this number 36, only one time. Says Bnei Yisachar, you ever notice the fact that in our generation, we talk about Chanukah, there's more Torah on Chanukah, more than there ever was. It's like Chanukah becomes bigger and bigger every year. Pesach, there was always a lot of Pesach Torah. Since I'm a kid, there's always a plethora of Pesach Torah. There's always enough Divrei Torah for Pesach. Every Pesach, you sit down, you have hundreds of Pesach. Chanukah is like, it used to be when I was a kid, there were 100 answers to the Beis Yosef's kasha. Now already they have a sefer with 500 answers to the Beis Yosef's kasha. People don't even remember the question anymore because there's so many answers. Why is Chanukah 8 days? There should be 7 days, right? Because the miracle, right?
The same kasha didn't change, right?
The kasha didn't, but there are more answers, right? Says the end of number 36, the purpose of Chanukah is to bring out the Arhaganos, the future, the original light, the light that will shine again, as we get closer to the Giloy of the Arhaganos, the Torah on Chanukah expands and proliferates more than any other Yom Tov, says the Bnei Yisachar. Okay, so now I want to tell you a big chiddush, Shaloi Ra'isi, V'loi Shamati Me'olam, but maybe we could suggest the following. We know that Moshe Rabbeinu had a very hard time understanding the Menorah. Moshe Rabbeinu had a hard time understanding the Menorah. He understood all the hard Masechtas of Shas. He understood the sugya of Chardol, Takvakoyen, right? Yachloiku. Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't understand the Menorah. What was his problem with the Menorah? Well, let me just tell you one thing by way of introduction. The Gemara in Rosh Hashanah says, number 42, Nun Shari Bino Nivru Ba'olam. There are 50 gates of wisdom in this world. V'kulan nitnu leMoshe. All were given to Moshe. Moshe had all 50 gates. Chasar echad, except for one. Shenemar v'atechasreu me'at me'elokim. Moshe Rabbeinu was missing one. The way the Shloh explains it, what's the smallest letter of Elokim? Aleph. So he was missing one. Of the 50, he was missing one. Moshe Rabbeinu was taught all 50 levels, but he never understood. One of them he wasn't given. One of them he was missing. Says the Vilna Gaon. Says the guy. You know why Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't understand the Menorah? The Menorah has 22 goblets. The Menorah has how many knobs? This is Rashi from Parshas Truma, number 39. The Menorah has 11 knobs. The Menorah has 9 flowers. And we said, what do these details of the Menorah represent? Parasha Bal Peh. You say a good svara, I tell you, Kaftar B'Ferach. What's 22? 22 Gevim, 11 Kaftorim, 9 Prachim. What does that equal? 42. But 7 Neros. That's 49. Moshe had no problem with the Menorah. Because the Menorah, which is Torah, which represents Torah, represents the 49 levels of Chachma that Moshe Rabbeinu got. But that's all the details of the Menorah. But the Menorah itself was the Shar Nun, was the 50th level of wisdom, which Moshe Rabbeinu never understood. Says the Vilna Gaon, the reason why Moshe cannot comprehend the Menorah is why? Because the Menorah represents the 50th level of wisdom, which Moshe never understood. Moshe Rabbeinu, the Menorah itself, Menorah Gufa, was the 50th level. By the way, Vilna Gaon says an amazing thing. Sefer Bereshis begins, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'es haaretz. How many words? 7 words. 7 branches of the Menorah. Ve'ela Shemais b'nei Yisrael habam Mitzrayma es Yaakov ish ubeisai bo'u. 11 words. The 11 Kaftorim. Vayikra begins. Vayikra el Moshe vayedaber Hashem elav me'oihel moyed lemar. 9. The 9 flowers. Devarim begins. Ela hadvarim asher diber Moshe el kol Yisrael be'ever hayarden ba'minbar ba'arava mol suf bein paran uvein toifel v'lovin v'chatzeros v'dizav. 22. 22 Gevim. Every detail of the Menorah is alluded to in the first pasuk of every Sefer. The Torah is like a Menorah. So he said, Rabbi, you skip Bamidbar. I didn't skip Bamidbar. Let's go back to Bamidbar. Bamidbar begins. Vayidaber Hashem Moshe. There are how many words? 18 words. Can I get the height of the Menorah, which was 18 tvach? Says the Vilna Gaon. On this?
Yes.
Yeah.
All these things you mentioned, the bowls, the flowers, the cups.
Yeah.
They're all part of the solid piece of the menorah, right?
All part.
The menorah is a solid piece.
Correct.
Not composed of different.
Correct. Miksha achas. Right. Good. So Moshe got the 49 details of the Menorah. Why? Because he knew all 49 levels of wisdom, but he never understood the Menorah itself. Why? Because he didn't know the Shar Nun, the Shar Chamishim. By the way, what is the Shar Nun? The Shar Nun are the Soidos HaTorah, the secrets of Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have the Shar Nun. Did he ever have the Shar Nun? When Moshe Rabbeinu was told by Hashem, Vizeh Maisa HaMenorah, and Hashem showed him what the Menorah looked like, that means at that point in time, Moshe had some understanding of the Soidos HaTorah, the 50th level of wisdom. So I want to say a chiddush. What day of the year did Hashem show Moshe Rabbeinu the Menorah? I don't know. Doesn't say. Doesn't say in the Chumash when Hashem told Moshe V'zem Naisen. But if you learn Rashi, we find that what's the connection between this morning's Kriya of the Haloischa and what we learned in the beginning of the Karbanis of the Nesiim. So the Nesiim, each of the 12 Shvatim were makre various Karbanos to inaugurate the Mizbeach, and there was only one Shevet who didn't participate. Shevet Levi. And when Aaron HaKohen saw all the Nesiim being makre Karbanos, he had Chalishas Hadas. He said, it's not fair, I don't have a share in the mitzvah. So Hashem told Moshe, tell Aaron, no, Shalcha gedola mishalahem. You have a much bigger share. Why? Because you're madlik u'meitiv es haneros. You have the Yom Tif of Chanukah, the Ramban says. So Hashem was consoling Orion with Chanukah. How? By showing Moshe Rabbeinu the Menorah. I have one question for you. What day of the year did Hashem show Moshe Rabbeinu the Menorah? Now, does anybody know, even though the Chanukahs HaMizbeach actually took place Rosh Chodesh Nisan, it was originally scheduled to take place on Chanukah. It was pushed off. So probably the Nesiim already knew that they were going to be Makav the Karbanos, and Aaron already had Chalishas Hadas on Chanukah. And on that day, Hashem showed Moshe Rabbeinu, tell Aaron, don't be Chol Shadaite. Look, here's the Menorah. And on that day, Moshe saw the Menorah. The Menorah is what? Moshe understood all the Gaviyim, all the Prachim, all the Kaftorim. What didn't he understand? The Sharnun. The Sharnun is what? The secrets of the Torah. So that means Hashem taught Moshe Rabbeinu the secrets of the Torah on Chanukah. So maybe that's what the Chassam Sofer means. Maybe this is the Makar of the Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer says, more than any other days of the year, the importance of learning Torah and Chanukah. Why? These are the days that Hashem taught Moshe Rabbeinu the secrets of the Torah. Chassam Sofer, where'd you get it from? Maybe this is where it comes from. Because Hashem showed Moshe Rabbeinu the Menorah. The Menorah represents the Sharnun. The Sharnun are the secrets of the Torah. When was it? Maybe it's reasonable to say that it was on the day that the Chanukahs HaMizbeach was scheduled to take place, which was Chanukah, and that's what the Chassam Sofer means. Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu to use on the Achah. Says the Shlach HaKadosh, now we understand why Asur L'Hishtamesh La'ira. We understand why you can't be Neneh from the Ner Chanukah. Why? Because when you're lighting the Ner Chanukah, you're doing Vayas Kein Aaron. You're bringing out to the world what? The Arhaganas. Nobody's allowed to use the Arhaganas. Hashem hid the Arhaganas away. Hashem said the world is not worthy of the Arhaganas. So how can you be Neneh from the Ar of the Arhaganas? The Rebbeinu Shalom himself already hid it away, and you're going to read a book next to the Arhaganas? You can't do it. It's Asur L'Shtamish La'ira, just like the Rebbeinu Shalom put away the Arhaganas for the Tzadikim Asur Lavai. Says the Shlach HaKadosh. Now we understand why Chanukah is on the 25th day of the month. Because what are we doing by lighting the Menorah? We're correcting the pasuk of Vayomer Elokim Yehiar Vayihiar, and we're making it Vayomer Elokim Yehiar Vayihi Chein. What day of the month did Hashem say Vayomer Elokim Yehiar? Well, we know Hashem created Adam Arishon on Rosh Hashanah. The first day of creation, the day Hashem created the light, is Chaf Hei Elul. Everybody knows that until something is established, it takes 3 months. Just like a baby, when the mother is pregnant 3 months, then she's considered mubaras. Not until 3 months is something established. Hashem said, Vayomer Elokim Yehiar, but you know how long it takes for the light to be inaugurated, for light to be neskayim? It takes 3 months. 3 months to the date of when Hashem said, Vayomer Elokim Yehiar, is when we fix the Ar, and we start lighting the Menorah, and we are nisgala to the world, the light that Hashem hid in the Torah Shabbal Peh. So when we light the Menorah, and even today when we already lit the Menorah, but we should be miskat mechavein, that all the 36 neros that we lit on Chanukah is a remez to the fact that the Rebbeinu Shalom hid the original light, the light of Gan Eden, the light of Olam Haba, the light of creation. Hashem hid it in the Torah Shabbal Peh. And we're mispala, the Rebbeinu Shalom should be mezakeh us to access the light of the Torah Shabbal Peh, that the light should shine in our neshama the whole year. So we want to say the following chiddush again. Another, a kavod zois Chanukah. Every other day of the year, when you learn from the Torah, you have limitations. You have confines. You can't go all the way past human ability. You stop at the end of the parsha. You got to stop. You can't go beyond. But on zois Chanukah, when we've been successful in bringing out even the light that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have full access to, what we do is we lane in the Torah and we go right through, beyond any boundaries, beyond any confines. We extend ourselves, and we hope the Rebbeinu Shalom should be Yarenu Mitayrasai.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.